Welcome back to LivAnimated.com. Let's learn something new. Tonight we're going to be talking about how to build a resume and cover letter. Let's talk a little bit about resumes. What is the point of a resume? What do you need it for? The resume is going to be the first glance of what your skill sets are, what you can bring to the table, and it'll show the employer that you are the person that they're looking for to fulfill their needs for the job description that you're applying for. The cover letter. The cover letter is an opportunity for you to be passionate about the role and explain to the employer why you would be the best fit. So let's go back to the resume right quick. I've been thinking about this a lot because my current resume is a wall of text. It's an old format that I used from a long time ago, and I think moving forward, I would change that. I would change it to be more bullet point centric, because with walls of text, what I've seen from interviewing people and just from sitting in with people, because normally you're in there with groups with people when you interview someone in this industry, you skim over what that wall of text is, and you're kind of looking for keywords. I'm not saying you don't read it. People read the resume, but you're looking for trigger words that kind of entice you to go, ooh, I want to ask about this. I want to know more about this. Where if you haven't written that paragraph well, people are going to ask you off the cuff questions where you're going to feel like, did they read my resume? I kind of touched on that, but maybe you didn't, or maybe it wasn't as thorough or written logically where like people would get that's what you're talking about. And that's why I think moving to bullet points would be better in the future. With the bullet points, what you are able to do is you could really tailor your resume per studio. A lot of people don't do that. Resumes are a one-shot thing. You make it and you just forget about it and send it out unless you got a new role you need to add to it. What I've been thinking about is if you go with bullet points and you've done your research for the studios that you're applying for, what you will be able to do is really start to tailor each bullet point on the experience that you have for the role that calls out very high level what you've already experienced in the past and what will be beneficial for the current employer that you're applying for. Imagine writing a paragraph and you're kind of talking about a program that you used. Instead, you can add 3 bullet points, one bullet point covering the program's name with how experienced you are with using it on that project you're on. The next bullet point can be about some of the accolades or some of the things that you've done with that program to either expedite workflow or take things to another level, or you know what I'm talking about. So I would use bullet points in that way, because what that will allow someone to do is when they read the bullet points, because they won't really skim them, they'll read each bullet point because it's going to be so much shorter than a wall of text. You're going to get people asking you questions on the bullet point. Hey, on your second bullet point from job X, you mentioned that, you used Unreal for, getting locomotion to look better, or you came up with some way of doing that. Can you expand on that more? Boom. You set yourself up for a perfect question because you kind of know that's what they're going to ask you from that. They're either going to ask you that or they're going to ask you, did you use something that was already out there and you just got it working, So if you can be as concise and thorough with those bullet points, that's going to be perfect. And the beautiful thing about that is that once you save that out and you have to tailor it for another studio, it's going to be a lot easier to tailor that for another studio because, again, you need to do your research. If you can find out what exactly they're looking for, and most times you can, they have it all online for you with their job descriptions, their JDs. You can look at that and don't copy what they have from there and put it on your resume. Like, come on. Actually go from the experience you have and be thoughtful about the words you use to be as descriptively thorough as possible about your past responsibilities. But just know that they're looking for a person that does this. Well, hey, you compliment that, but you should write it out in a bullet point where it intrigues the person when they read it to go, I want to know more from this person about this. This is exactly what we're looking for. This person has this experience. That's what people are going to say. Then they're going to want to just talk to you and see, can you talk about it? Can you describe it? Do you know what you're talking about? And then that's going to go a lot further for you as well, because you've written these bullet points. So I would go that route with my resume and stay away from walls of text. The other thing that I would do is when talking about having concise labels or concise roles, I would make sure that if I'm applying for a management position, I would only put the past experiences you had as a manager and highlight those experiences at the top, in that chronological order. And then experiences you had in the past after that, that aren't really management, I would list those, but I wouldn't be as thorough with them with the bullet points. I would just leave it where I may have a bullet point, or maybe you achieved something, or maybe you did something there that was actually really awesome for the team or for your department. Highlight that. Let that be the bullet point. Because as they look at it, they'll be like, oh, he's worked at all these places, and then here's some bullet points where you highlight stuff. But you really want it to focus on what you're applying for, which is the management role. And you want that to be what their focus is on. The other things are just going to show them that, he definitely has experience in this and this and this. And, he's been doing it for X amount of years. That's really what they're going to look at the rest of the resume for. Things have changed so much over the years. Something you did 10, 12, 20 years ago is pretty much irrelevant, other than how those positions have helped you determine better pipelines for workflow and process. That's pretty much it. You also want to be creative with your resume. A lot of people in different disciplines, I have seen them apply with different hobbies or different things that they attach to their resume. So as a designer, I've seen someone send something that was like a game they made, and it showed from a designer's perspective how creative they are and something they did outside of the resume that kind of reflects what they're applying for and what they actually enjoy doing. Now, imagine if you're doing something that is game-centric. It's going to show the employer that you like doing things that will be creative for the player to experience inside of whatever the IP is. Like they like making these mini games, or they like making this, or telling stories about this. That's going to help you as a designer. That's going to make them look like, wow, this dude really understands the mechanics of design or design theory and how to create and how to make engaging encounters of sorts. So that's one way. Another way, as a programmer, I've seen a programmer program something where you open it up, it starts doing things, playing music, doing all sorts of stuff, showing text, something they've coded in an application, or something that they've coded where you just plug the USB in and the application starts, and it's like this whole website type thing. It's pretty cool. So, and as a modeler, I've seen people like actually model like 3D hand, like tangible things, like model stuff or 3D print stuff out that they have modeled in a program. Screams volumes. Those little things that you may have as a hobby or that you may do, those will definitely elevate you to the front of getting interviewed, because it shows that, not only do you do this as your career, but a lot of it is what trickles over into your hobbies as well. And people love that. People love to see, like, man, this dude is creative. This is an artist, or this is, a programmer, designer, or animator, or what have you. Like, people will definitely see from you sharing something like that, and even taking the time to do it when you applied. That's awesome. So with your resume, those are the things I would focus on moving forward. You're going to find that it's going to be a lot easier to compose your resume. It's going to be something that you can modify and update easier. And it's also something that you can have with your resume reflecting on your LinkedIn page as well. And it'll read a lot better. So when it comes to resumes, that's what I'm thinking about for the future, of it being something that's so much more digestible than a bunch of walls of text, because people are not going to remember much about that resume. They'll have to refer back to it because they're not going to be able to recall everything other than those keywords they're looking for. And if you make it simple for them to see those keywords and bullet points, done deal. Now let's talk about the cover letter. The cover letter is something you should do a lot of research on. Find out, on Glassdoor or any other website about the culture of the studio. Find out about Has there been layoffs? Like, really dig deep. Pay attention to what it is you find. See if there's any validity to it and if it makes sense. A lot of times people will go online to rant and say bad things, but you need to do your homework before you do your cover letter. You want to make sure that you're writing something that actually reflects the studio and the studio's mission statement and what the studio wants to bring to the fans. Writing something that makes no sense and you sending it just because you're like, oh, I think I wrote a good letter, it's going to come across like this person doesn't know what we do here, or they didn't look and see who's actually who's here in the roster of people that are employed. Like, you want to show that you can read thoroughly, you can comprehend, you can write legibly, or use proper punctuation. So those are the things that you want to do with the cover letter. You want to make sure that you've done all the research you can, and you can speak on some of the things that you may know that they have probably already put out there in the world as like what some of their pitfalls are. You can speak on how you could help fill those holes. You could definitely be the person to get them over those hurdles. That's what you want to do in the cover letter. You want to be as passionate as possible, let your character shine through, and you want to show them that from your research, you may understand some things they're going through, or what they're trying to build, or what they're trying to create in the moment that they just haven't done yet. That's going to make you stand out above everyone else, because they're going to go, yo, we just had a meeting internally about this. This guy is talking about something we need help with. This could be the guy. Like, above everything else, they could have 4 or 5 people like in the queue to get interviewed or what have you. And because your resume and cover letter are set up in a way where they're like, yo, this guy, there's multiple things that this person can help us out with, let alone their discipline and what we're, the meat of their responsibilities. They can really help us get X, Y, and Z figured out. That's going to put you above everyone else. And it's going to do it in a way where you've done your research on the studio, you've done your bullet points, and you got everybody talking about your resume and your cover letter. You're in a great position. And all you have to do is just go there and communicate well and be yourself. So the other thing is for the cover letter, that should definitely be tailored per studio once you've done the research. You don't want to write a cover letter and then go in and take out only the company name and replace it with another company name, and then take out another thing and replace it with another something, and then it reads the same. It may not come across the same, because the information that you've written that first time round may only really apply to the first studio that you applied for. So just changing those words, it makes it like, oh, this dude he just copied and pasted this from something. Like, you don't want that to be what it is either. So definitely be diligent about research and about what it is you're trying to convey to the reader. Because again, your cover letter is going to make someone go, yo, this guy is talking about this and this. That's right up my, like, the person interviewing you, maybe a peer, and they're like, you, that's right up my alley. I'm already in the process of learning, and I know it's hard. And for this person to speak on it and say that they know how to do this, I want to hire them so I can learn from them. Boom, that's perfect. I've heard some things people have said in the past like that about people that are getting interviewed, and we're looking at their resume and cover letter before they even come in, and it's like hands down, people are like definitely championing you and what you've sent in on paper first, and they'll fight for it. Like, they'll fight for it to nail and teeth of like, no, we have to get this guy in here. We need to talk to him. And that's where you want to be. That's what you want to happen when you send in your stuff. That's pretty much it. Like, it should be that simple. I know a lot of times people have questions about how to create a resume and how to do a cover letter for the games industry. It shouldn't be that difficult. If you, and one of the other videos I've done, if you've actually maintained being an asset, a service provider, and trying to learn everything you can in the studio, you're going to have a wealth of information that you can put on your resume. You just need to pick out what parts of that information will best serve you for the roles you're applying for. That's why it's good to tailor both of these documents per studio. But yeah, I hope you learned something new. This has been more straightforward than I thought it would be doing this video. But please keep the questions coming. Let me know if you have any questions or if you need any help with someone looking over your resume or looking over your cover letter. That's what I'm here for, to just help out. Hope you all have a good night. Thank you. Hope you learned something new. Bye.